what players have really been wanting to draft for the team.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at SofM's match history, he's basically a two-trick jungler at this point, just Olaf and Udyr every single game, with one random game of Gragas mixed in there, and the occasional Graves when everything's banned out. So it's a different look at the jungle right now, where it's just whichever one they can get, that's the one they'll go for out of those two picks. Over to V5, though, looking towards this Tristana. Don't be baited. Viego not available on this patch. They're not going to lock that in. They're just offering it for the memes. It's going to be that Seraphine. So we talked about On actually playing Seraphine recently. ppgod taking that away and going for the strong 2v2.
Not too surprising, honestly. Whenever I see Seraphine, it's been left open. It's usually teams trying to grab that pretty fast. Olaf, I feel like, was one of the few picks that you'd want to opt over something as strong as that. Azir might be another one. I'm a bit surprised that we didn't see that, mostly just to be a takeaway from Angel, because even blind, I feel like Azir would do fine here. There it is. Blind picked by Angel, purely for the fact that it's one of the most comfortable champions that Suning like to play for mid lane.
Oh yeah, this is like 100% Suning bread and butter pick right here. The thing that surprises me is not that Mole didn't pick it, because I don't really think of Mole when I think of Azir, or vice versa. It's more that they didn't ban it. A lot of teams are just banning Azir against Suning. I think that is the correct thing to do when you're playing against Suning, but just not respecting it. They go for the Graves, so WeiWei, an unfortunate casualty to Graves' disease, unaware of the fact that this champion's complete garbage now, and he's going to lock it in anyway, so God rest his soul.
What is the win rate on that? It's not very good on 11-3.
It's less than 30%, I'm pretty sure at this point. I missed it when it flashed up on the screen, but it ain't pretty. It's got slightly better again. Graves actually got slightly better recently because there were some nerfs to some of the better junglers, but still, I'm not a fan until we get to see some exceptional stuff. I mean, WeiWei is definitely an exceptional player. I am memeing a bit, like I expect WeiWei to know what he's doing here, but not a fan of the Graves pick.
I don't think I'm a fan of it either. Even though, like you said, confident in WeiWei's ability, but still he's played 6 games of it, has a 33% win rate on it himself. Not really that, confident, inspiring jungle, but it doesn't matter because if they're still able to draft around to be able to utilize that they have a double marksman composition might work out. Since you're already seeing that Samira, Thresh, both of them banned away, might even indicate that this is going to be that Seraphine into ppgod's hands as opposed to maybe having that flexibility of putting it in Mole.
Yeah, so over to V5 we go. They still have to go for the top lane in the mid lane pick. Although, I mean, it's, yeah, as you say, Seraphine could go mid towards Mole, but I'd expect... Oh, it is!
Yeah,
Alistar locked in. It is going to be Seraphine mid coming through. So, WeiWei going to have to be the carry here. And this is not something I would have expected out from V5. Like, Mole, in my mind, is the carry on this team. Putting him on Seraphine, like... I don't think that Seraphine is not a good pick or anything like that, but I do think that Mole should be the premium carry on this team, so I don't know about that one. And also giving Azir a lane where he could just farm up and scale into the late game, that sounds terrible to me. So Huanfeng now going to go for this Kalista in the bottom lane. And we'll see what they go with alongside the Kalista for the 2v2. It's a very aggressive 2v2 to match up against this Tristana Alistar.
I feel like that Galio is actually a really solid pick here with Kalista. The fact that you can use Fate's Call to throw him in. Immediately you get the taunts afterwards. Plus you have that ability to be able to jump into team fights to help everyone out. This is a really nice solid pick. The only thing is, how does it do in laning phase against the Tristana Alistar? Of course, Tristana having low range earlier on is something they could punish. It's still a relatively safe lane that innately pushes back just based off how Tristana works.
Yeah, exactly. You do have a lot of push from the Tristana. So now I do want to quickly mention that I said I'm not a huge fan of this Seraphine pick for Mole. This is something that V5 have played before, and they did win with it. My only concern is it was a win against E-Star. Like, they're on a 2-win streak, right? But they beat E-Star and OMG. So I don't want to take too much from that one. But it was with this Seraphine Graves combo. The 2v2 is exceptionally strong. My concern is that with this Jayce in the top side, you don't have the best front-to-back fight, which is really where Seraphine is going to come into her own. So Whether or not they can make that work, a lot of this onus in this game is going to be on ppgod and on Mole. If Mole can get a good charm and ppgod can find some good engages on this Alistar, the team fight can look amazing for Victory 5. But if they can't, they will lack frontline with the Jayce, so that could be an issue for them.
They have to be able to get these skirmishes to work out for them. They need to use Langx's top lane dominance on Jayce into Gnar to the fullest extent that it can. Get them ahead, translate that to other lanes, because like you mentioned, the Seraphine is not necessarily going to be that one to carry the team. It's much more about facilitating others.
Yeah, huge amount of pressure on WeiWei in this game, and you know, we highlighted the mid lane matchup. Maybe we should have been looking towards the jungle matchup here with the Seraphine coming in the mid lane, Angel on this Azir as well. I expect that mid lane to be somewhat of a handshake. SofM, though, incredibly creative jungler, so I want to see some cool pathing here. And I want to see him, I don't know whether he will, but I'd love to see him start topside, path towards his bottom lane, because let's be honest, Kalista, Galio versus Tristana, Alistar, you know there's going to be 2v2s going on.
As we load up onto the Rift, Game 1, Victory 5, Suning tied up in the standings. Only one of them is going to be able to move out of that 50% bracket and up towards the playoff berth. We'll find out who's going to be able to take this first game.
Only time will tell. We'll have to find out as we get into this one. And I have to say, like, even though the standings are even, I want to set expectations correctly here. I think Suning, on paper right now, are the better team. I feel like V5 have lost a lot of their identity coming into this year. And this Seraphine mid style does feel like a positive move for them in that they are trying to find an identity, right? They're moving away from Mole is the carry and everyone else doesn't really know what they're doing to, not in an insulting way, just in like a directional way. To Mole now being happy to be a facilitator and trusting a little bit more in WeiWei, who last year was one of the better junglers in the league. So I think there are signs of good things to come and signs of growth when we look at these drafts. But whether or not that's going to be enough against Suning, who are a team that, you know, are on the up and up right now, and especially with Huanfeng and On locking Galio Kalista, that shows that this bot lane dominance that we saw against TT was not an anomaly. That is a style that Suning want to go for these days.
Want to be able to replicate what they had once had at Worlds. As you already see, level 1 fight attempted out of Huanfeng and out of On. Getting a pretty good lead. They're going to be able to get the experience lead over both Trigger and ppgod, making it so that this Tristana and Alistar can't really do much. They're constantly just trying to trade blows.
Yeah, it's really hard as a hard engaged support to play into Galio. Galio is incredibly good at just ruining your engage and stopping you getting to do what you want to do. Also, Tristana, in the early game, if you get pushed in, if you're having to farm on the tower, it's just not a fun time, man. It's incredibly difficult to get those CS consistently because of the passive on the E. I would love to see Trigger. I don't know what ability he leveled up yet, but if he didn't just yet, I'd love to see him not level the E until a little bit later on, go for the Q first, just for the sake of being able to last hit correctly underneath the tower.
We might be able to help them out, but I do think that he started E. I think that was the option that they tried to get, because I did see the explosive charge already used. So unfortunately, they're not going to be able to do what you wanted, which is freeze the minions as simply as possible. Unfortunately, the innate ability of Tristana pushing back that lane is going to make it difficult. And I'm worried. I am worried, like you mentioned. It's going to probably mean that Trigger might lose out on some of that CS, since Huanfeng and On are going to play aggressively into that lane.
So WeiWei's pathed up towards the top side here. I said, hey, I want SofM to path down towards this bottom lane. He's done exactly that, but Huanfeng and On are shoving under the tower, so I don't expect it to be necessarily a gank. He's just playing towards where his priority is, so he can guarantee that Scuttle Crab, get a reset off, and then move back out onto the map. You can see Angel's just shoved in. He'll be able to get himself a reset as well, as Mole went for a very early recall there to get himself a tier alongside his Doran's Ring.
Knowing this is pretty much a handshake lane. They're not, it's almost the same as Azir Corki, you know? What are they gonna do? They're gonna clear out the minions and stare at each other aggressively and meanly. Like, grrr.
Yeah. But that's one of the real tests, isn't it? Like how mean is your mean stare? Like some Pokemon are so mean that they actually get to reduce the opponent's attack stat with their mean glare or whatever.
It's funny because
called.
usually the Pokemon that get that are like the cutest ones too.
Hey, look, we all know those small dogs that are very cute to look at, but they're terrorizing little. I'm not allowed to swear on the broadcast, so I can't properly describe those kind of dogs, but I hate them. Yorkshire Terriers specifically.
See, mine's
terrible
Chihuahuas.
dogs.
Chihuahuas are always the ones that I find are like the most terrifying. But right now, ooh, nice
Also,
double knockup out of ppgod. But again, as you mentioned, an aggressive support into Galio. He took worse damage than that.
Yeah, just feels bad. Mole getting a good trade in the mid lane, though, against Angel's Azir. And Angel, interestingly, going for the Electrocute on this Azir. This is kind of an old school rune that we used to see a lot on Azir, not so much these days. It's usually the Comet if you want to win lane, Lethal Tempo or Halo Blades for the team fighting. The Electrocute, less common. Now, I'm not going to claim to be some kind of Azir pro, so I'm not going to try and break down the ins and outs of why you'd go Electrocute over anything else, but certainly gives you burst damage. That much I know.
It does, and it makes it a bit easier, I think, into lanes such as this, the Seraphine lane, where she's gonna have shields, she's gonna have heals, and she's gonna clear out the minion wave. So even if you try to poke her out, she's gonna heal it right back up. So I suppose that the idea is maybe getting a bit more upfront burst damage so she's not able to heal fast enough. Someone else can fact check. Lyric, get on the case. Dagda, we're gonna rely on you if you're listening out there. Get us the numbers.
Well, I think Dagda is mid-travel to China, so I'm gonna let him off for this one. You need to get us the
numbers.
Dagda, wherever you are, from the air, I hope you're watching. Yeah, hit me up. What Electrocute is here? Let us know. But yeah, you can see Molt manages to get Prio in the mid lane, and it means WeiWei will grab this top scuttle. Bit of a skirmish between Lunching and Bin, though. They are consistently hitting each other, but so far, Bin is doing great in a matchup that typically is Jayce favored.
A bit surprising to see that Bin not deterred at all. Very confident in that lane and getting that lead. I want to see if he's going to be able to maybe draw up SofM to get an early gank, get something to happen on this map. Because right now, I mean, all we're really seeing is Huanfeng bully Trigger, bully ppgod, and this bot lane is not going the way that Mole was asking for.
Yeah, he was saying, hopefully, my bot lane's going to be real good. But it is not the case right now. Big CS lead in that bottom side, 20 almost in favor of Huanfeng. And it's a similar story up on the top side of the map as well, because we've got a CS lead in favor of Bin on the Gnar. It's feeling rough. Lunching has just reset, though, so he has an opportunity now to try and turn that around with the Serrated Dirk. Curious what Bin's first recall will be. We've seen a lot of Stride Breaker Gnar more recently, so you'd expect him to go towards something like the Iron Spike whip.
Trying to be able to jump into the fights a bit more consistently, get those Gnar ults off. Right now, Bin doesn't seem to really care one way or another. He's like, yeah, whatever. I can farm. I'm cool with this. This isn't really bothering me too much.
So let's talk about these compositions a little bit and what they actually want to do during the game, right? Because when we look at them on paper, they're a little bit more complex than maybe a lot of LPL teams usually play, especially with supportive mids like this Seraphine. It's not something we see a huge amount in the LPL. So V5 very much looking for extended fights if they can find it, where Wei is going to be more of a carry than Mole is. Mole is going to be sitting on the back line here, trying to buff up Wei, Lunching, Trigger. The big concern I have for this roster on the side of V5 is that they have very little AP damage. Like when you look across the board, it is all AD with the Jayce, the Graves, and the Tristana. Seraphine doesn't offer a huge amount of damage to your team, especially when you're going for this Moonstone. So that could be a concern for them. But on the other side, for Suning, they have a pretty good team fight composition. Like they've got a big ass front line with the Olaf and the Gnar and the Galio. Angel gets to free fire there, but Huanfeng very much an early game AD carry on this Kalista. So fights like this Herald right now that you can see Huanfeng moving towards could be where Suning excel.
Well, they're able to get the charm, but the Justice Punch in the back line, use the Emperor Survive to be able to get away on, pulled back in with the Fate's Call to be able to get the knock if they need to on a WeiWei who had flashed away to barely survive. Flash coming in from Trigger 2. ppgod had to flash. 3 flashes are now blown. ppgod has a blast gun, but is he going to be able to get to it? He can! It's first blood coming in from SofM. Bull taking a lot of damage, forced to flash 2, barely surviving.
Did you see that? SofM micros, so he stood on top of the blast cone. Instead of going with Mole on the blast cone, he says, you don't get to use the blast cone. You flash or you die. And Mole has to flash out of the play. Beautiful from Suning. They grab themselves a Herald. And it's just like we were saying, as soon as Huanfeng arrives in that fight, the fight's already over.
Ooh, Ben, though, taking a lot of damage from Langx in that top lane. Either way, it doesn't really seem to matter for SofM. Gets the Eye of the Rift Herald. Finally getting that Scuttle Crab, too. Gonna be able to have that nice and tasty with first blood. That's a lot of an influx of gold for the side of Suning off that play.
Yeah, and I mean, the trade was been stopping the recall there, but Angel managing to stop the all-in from Tristana is exactly what they needed. SofM have to tank up at the front line, and then Huanfeng arrives, and suddenly it is full retreat from V5. They find themselves in a 4v5 as Bin roams down. And they realize that they can't fight anymore. SofM just stands on the blast gun and ruins everything. WeiWei gets the consolation prize of this Drake because SofM went for the Herald and then reset. And so now we kind of have to look towards where are we going to go next? Because V5 are a team that love this Rift Herald. Rift Herald is their bread and butter. And this is a team that still has a 90% win rate when they're ahead at 15 minutes. But the thing is, they use that Rift Herald to get that 15-minute lead, and Mole's been caught.
Yeah, Mole, you don't even have flash. SofM, second kill of the game, pretty easily to slice down the pop star.
Yeah, that's not a good one. When SofM already has the Herald, they could even slam it mid if they wanted, but I think they'll go towards one of the side lanes. But yeah, what I was going to say was, when V5 are ahead at 15, really, really fast win rates, but also when they're behind at 15, really fast lose rates. When they don't play around these Heralds well, they start to struggle, and I have to say the Seraphine mid, I don't think that's the pick if you want to play around Rift Herald.
Around Rift Herald, around the early game as well, because it's really more on the fact that you mentioned it before, they have so much AD, but it's the double marksman comp that normally wants to be able to scale up, and yet they have Jayce topside to be. I mean, he kind of works well when it comes to like the mid to late game with the change in build that Eclipse into Essence Reaver, not quite as burst damage as he once was, whereas the full lethality, but it still feels like it's a different game plan from what Victory 5 normally played. They're not going to be able to get these early leads. They need to be able to hemorrhage some of the bleeding, and they're already bled out down to 3,000 in the deficit.
Yeah, this is already starting to go very heavily in favor of Suning. We're only 12 minutes in. It's only 2-0, but the gold lead does not reflect that kill difference. I will say, Moonstone has come through for Mole, so that is a pretty significant spike in terms of how this composition is going to operate. The problem is, all of the carries that he wants to facilitate with that Moonstone, none of them have mythics just yet. As 4 plates are taken in the mid lane, Mole has no real way to contest Angel anymore. Like I said, this Seraphine does not do damage, and the Herald even clocks a hit onto Mole as well. That's half of his health bar gone.
Well, at least you have TP, right? Right?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm just trying to think of something, Munch. Come on, I'm trying to give him something.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not criticizing you. Like, it's not much of a silver lining if you have to just blow that TP straight away. But look, you got to do what you got to do. The mid lane tower, I don't expect to go down just yet, but it's a huge amount of gold going to the Azir, who already has Illudens. And now we can expect to see Suning start to play towards the bottom side. Drake's going up in 2 minutes, and realistically, I don't see a world where V5 can fight them right now.
No. Angel is pushing up pretty far in this mid lane. Might be able to take down that turret since Mole is pretty low still. Look at that. Just gonna keep the shields and the heals from really doing much, forcing Mole to recall. Gonna be able to get a free blue buff off that. Rinse and repeat mid lane. You're put Victory 5 in this position that, honestly, I don't know what they can do to be able to get back onto this map. They don't have control around either objective. They've had to blow a TP again mid lane for Mole. As long as Angel waits it out, he's going to have TP advantage for a hell of a long time over Mole.
So I don't think that V5 should be trying to fight in the next minute or so, because you're going to see now across the scoreboard, Mythics starting to come through from Suning. You can already see the top 3 members of Suning have Mythics, whereas it's only Langx and Mole right now on the side of V5. So I would say for the next minute or so, maybe this next Drake, probably don't fight for V5. But once those Mythics start to come on through, especially for WeiWei, maybe on that next Rift Herald, that could be the moment for V5 to try and make a 5v5 happen, where Mole can be that supportive role. You can see the Gale Force actually now finished a little earlier than I was expecting. So maybe the Drake fight could be the call from V5 if you can get a big charm coming out from Mole, ppgod to follow up on that one, or vice versa. You have a lot of burst damage to blow a couple of people up.
That's fair. Hopefully they can do so to SofM before that Gore Drinker can go off, and before he's able to heal up to pretty much full throughout all that. They are wrestling a bit of vision around that Dragon Pit, trying to see if they can get some semblance of a fight back and some sort of resistance around the river to make it a bit easier for Trigger, for Mole to farm up and wait it out so they can eventually get that fight.
Yeah, we'll see. SofM just walking up because he knows that nobody can really challenge into a duel right now. So full vision control in favor of Suning right now. You can see the top laners moving on down. Bin is just going to be starting to build up that bar. So if a fight does happen, if he's able to get boomerangs out.
Looks like Ragnarok was popped, so both of them trading ults back and forth. ppgod for SofM. It's going to be putting a lot of damage onto that Olaf. But again, with the Gore Drinker, he's always able to heal up so fast and going to be able to get right back onto these objectives where V5 feel that they're forced to contest this, forced to fight back. But I feel like you give up this objective. You don't even try to fight, because SofM, not only does he get the objective, but they have been about to go Mega. You had to flash away to be able to survive. Flash comes in to be able to get the charm, but it's not really going to be able to do too much, especially when no one else is able to jump into the backline. Not with ppgod getting the heroic entrance canceled out of On. Now the fight comes in from Victory 5. They got a lot of damage onto SofM, a lot of damage on to Huanfeng, and here's Angel. No, you're not going to be able to get that Emperor's Divide like you would have wanted to, so they do trade one life for a dragon.
So I'm not entirely sure what happened there. I think Mole's charm completely ruined the engage from Suning. I saw On go in, get an amazing taunt onto the backline. I was like, oh my god, that's the fight. Suning and then we never saw an Emperor's Divide. We never saw Bin get his Gnar off either. So I want to take a look at the replay and see exactly how that went down. But I believe that it was Mole's charm completely
I think it was all 5, honestly.
Denied the engage.
Like, watch. I think it's all 5 of them.
Yeah, so the charm through the entire team as the taunt goes in. That is beautiful. And then that's what we talked about, right? That combo, the charm on everyone, then ppgod follows up. Beautifully done by V5. So they do manage to actually win out that fight, but they already lost the Drake. They only got 1 kill onto On, which isn't the most consequential kill anyway. So all things considered, not quite as impactful as they would have liked. But this Herald is up.
No,
oh, there's the Gnar we wanted.
Jump was canceled away. SofM might be able to run him back, as there's going to be TP coming in from Angel. They might just look for this dive. They block down ppgod, getting a lot of damage coming in from Angel underneath the turret. Not really a safe place for you. That's going to be the kill given over to Bin.
Yep, PP Mortal steps up once again. And unfortunately for V5, with that pick there, with a great ulti coming out from Bin, it is going to mean this Herald goes in the way of Suning. So 3-1 on the scoreboard. This gold lead is continuing to accelerate as Angel will get solo gold on this top tower as well. There's only 1 tier 1 remaining on the map. And with a Herald in pocket, SofM could always just slam that in the bottom side to finish it off.
Exactly. Got to be able to grab that for the team. Maybe just take the top lane. Oh,
goodness.
Wow. Trigger, what happened to your health bar there, man?
I see it. That's why. So I figured it out. That's why he's running electrocute, because he can do that. There we go. Science, ladies and gentlemen. Results-based analysis.
That's how it works. And fortunately, Trigger not going to be able to really do too much. Just trying to get some gold back on this Tristana, knowing that the matchup in to Huanfeng is not going to work out. This Kalista's already gotten a sizable lead. Kraken Slayer up against the Immortal Shield, though. This Kalista is not going to be someone that you can kill quickly at all, and as long as Kalista survives, eventually she's going to have enough spears that when she rends, you're going to die. Oh, no, 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 no. No, trigger.
The red buff.
Oh, no, trigger. Okay, not canceled this time. Oh. Not canceled this time.
Hey, it was a good effort. I love what Angel is doing right here. This is the kind of Angel I want to see. People think about him as this quiet farming mid laner that just wants to scale up. Not anymore, mate. He's taking the red buff. He's using it as bait. He's now going to take the Krugs and keep shoving in the top side. You love to see it. Angel is feeling it on this Azir.
Look right now, WeiWei and Mole. We might look to see if they can punish Angel for being so far out. I don't think they're going to be able to get to Azir in time. Not when he can use the shifting sands to be able to escape so easily. Emperor's Divide is still up. Getting a little bit of fight back against WeiWei, who had to use collateral damage. He realized, wait a minute, he hurts.
Yeah, he could use shifting sands to get away, but Angel's like, look, I just took your red buff. You think I'm afraid of you? I don't think so. Buddy, 1v1 me IRL. Let's go. WeiWei's just kicked out of the top lane.
Wouldn't mess up with him at land, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. He's lucky that lands can't happen right now, let me tell you. It's going to be Drake coming up in 50 seconds, though. Gold lead pretty dramatically in favor of Suning. V5, not a team that are good at coming back from deficits, but this fight at Dragon, if they can get the combo we talked about before with Molesol into ppgod's engage, if Trigger can be there to follow up alongside Wei, maybe this could be the fight where they can turn things on its head.
Rift Herald, though, has been popped into the bot lane. Going to be able to get a full charge onto at least one turret. Might even be able to get two. You see that Langx is pretty far away. Not really going to be able to answer it as well as you'd like to. Now, it should just be one charge since Jayce is able to do a pretty decent amount of damage.
Yeah, I think one of the key things as well is that it doesn't really matter too much whether they get two charges, because if they do, great, some bonus damage onto this tower. It looks like they will actually get the second charge here, but ultimately they can't push the tower right now. All they're using that Herald for is to finish the tier 1 and buy themselves space on this Drake so SofM can just take that one. Again, Bin will keep pushing here, he'll keep the pressure on, but it's just so that at V5 don't get any opportunity to come and contest the objective whatsoever. The pressure in mid and bot means that they buy the space for SofM, and V5 just have to try and answer elsewhere. You can see Trigger in the top lane. I don't know if they'll even be able to finish a tier 1.
Probably not, even though it is Tristana, and normally Tristana is always great at taking these objectives so quickly. It was weird. WeiWei was trying to invade, trying to get some gold back, since you know that the bottom half of the map is gone. It's almost the late vertical jungle, but there wasn't anything there. Trigger's not able to get the pressure onto that tier 1, so they don't even get the gold. This game, even though, you know, only 4 kills have happened here 22 minutes into the game, it feels like there's been a bunch of big team fights for Suning, that they've been able to get themselves these massive leads from them, then it's just been clinical objective gameplay from them.
It has just been reading the map correctly and doing exactly what V5 doesn't want them to do. So I just wanted to check the stats and make sure I was still being accurate on the whole. V5 really good at winning when ahead, really bad at coming back from deficits, blah blah blah. Well, their win rate when they're ahead at 15, still 92.3%. They're still exceptionally good at snowballing. Their win rate, when behind at 15 this split, 0%. They literally do not win when they're behind at 15. They have not won a single game this split when behind at 15 minutes. We're well beyond the 15-minute mark, and they are well behind. It's not a good look for V5.
Not when you're only 23 minutes into the game, 6,000 gold in debt. And they're just waiting it out. I don't even know what they're waiting for. They're waiting for some sort of pick, maybe a misstep from Suning. They're trying to be able to set up anything, but the longer they wait, the more of their own jungle, the more of their own base they continue to lose.
Yeah, this feels like a slow burner.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't win that matchup anymore. Sorry, bud.
Yeah. It's, I guess that's that. He's got some armor, you've got some lethality. Not much you can do about that one. Now in the top side they go as the siege begins.
They might be able to go for the side. They got to be careful of Mole on the other side if he's able to get that charm like he did before. They have backed out of this one, realizing that that is a threat. Instead, they're going to be able to take more of the jungle away from Victory 5, and this might be where they want to be able to make the play. Not having to worry about the turret, giving over a red buff to Huanfeng so that now this Kalista is going to be able to do a lot of damage. Though they did try to contest it with that blast cone, it just feels like Victory 5 are grasping for straws here. They even have the TP being burned from Langx. They got the charm, but it was only on to On, who's drawn back in with that Fate's Call. Wei had to be able to flash away, but they got the double knock if they needed to, and they got a huge Gnar into the wall, and they are eviscerating Victory 5. This might even be a clean ace if they're able to chase down Langx, chase down Mole, but they will be able to survive to tell another day. But that means the Baron is going to be Suning's.
Yeah, Bin sends him to the landfill. Beautiful.
Ooh,
and
Angel. Nice try, nice try.
Well, that happened. Angel was the biggest flop of the season so far. All right, I don't know what's happening in this game anymore.
Neither do I. SofM's dead, Langx's dead, everyone's dead. It's all doom and gloom, but Suning still get the ace after all of that, and they are the ones in the lead.
I feel like that was like the exciting pop-off moment of the game. It's been tense up to this point. It's all been leading to this. And then right after the fight, Bin has this amazing ult, and Angel's like, hey, I don't want Bin to get all of the credit. Goes and face plants into the floor and gets annihilated. Then Mole's like, wait, that's what mid laners are meant to do? Oh, I didn't realize. So he goes in and face plants into the floor. It's like, guys, this isn't meant to be how this works.
You know, it's not meant to be how it works, but somehow it works for Suning. They won the fight, I guess, and they have a larger lead than they had before. Let's take a look at it, because the first part of the fight is actually really fun to watch.
Yeah, so you can see V5 use everything in their combo. They don't get a kill, so it's like, okay, well, the fight is already lost at this point, but then the TP from Bin, the ult on everyone, it's as beautiful as it could possibly be. ppgod buys a whole bunch of space with the knockup, but the fight is already over at that point. Angel overextending with the ult is a bit silly, but it's not the end of the world, especially since Mole, for some reason, traded his life afterwards, so it means that V5 don't get anything off the back of it. It looks like V5 want to try and contest priority so that they can go for this Drake, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Especially because you can already see that Bin's looking for that flank, will be spotted out. He's about to go Mega. He's able to get a little bit more. They're going to back out of it instead, wanting to be able to get within Soul Point, just playing it a little bit cleaner than they did after that fight had commenced last time around. Get themselves the objectives, and Victory 5 still grasping at the straws to be able to catch out Suning, who are playing it safe.
Yeah, so V5 trying to trade a mid-tier 1 here, but really nice positioning from Angel means that he can clear this wave from a distance. V5 don't get to do what they want. Bin.
Langx not locked down to buy the wallop. Instead, though, he's just going to be dove clinically by SofM to be able to get the kill. Victory 5. They're cut off from their own base. WeiWei had to use collateral damage to be able to escape. He even got the buster shot onto On, who didn't get the flash over the wall, but it doesn't matter because he's going to be able to get a huge entrance in with that heroic entrance, getting a double knock-up. WeiWei's already gone. ppgod going to be the next target. Angel looking to see if he can chase down these members to be able to get more kills since they already got the cow. And now that they locked down on this tier 2 turret, Mole, he can't do much. He's trying his best. There it is, the ace, and it's clean finally from Suning.
Oh, this is brutal. This is absolutely brutal. 12,000 gold lead now as Suning just run it home. It's easy fights for them. Every single time Bin is about to hit Mega Gnar, they find the perfect way to start the fight. Langx caught at this time, but they're able to snowball it into more. V5 were desperate to trade something for the Drake. They tried to overcommit to the tier 1, and Suning punished them, not just with a couple of kills, but with the entire game.
Oh, and they are looking to pad the KDAs too. I love seeing that. They got a huge burst of damage. There it is, getting a couple more kills on the way out. Game 1 going over to Suning.
Beautifully done here by Suning, and a very comfortable win for them as well. Getting a bunch of signature picks across the board, reading what V5 wanted to do, and being able to play around that appropriately. They could see how V5 wanted to play this, but honestly, again, Like the Graves pick, I'm not a huge fan of. I've already said pretty openly how much I don't like the Graves pick right now. But especially, I think Mole is the star player on V5. Like, I get it if you want to change styles because it wasn't working, but I think that Mole has to be the guy that you play around. I think he has to be the player that carries this team because, like, playing for Mole to be a supportive mid laner that's supporting a jungler when we're going to pick a champion that basically can't win games in the LPL, I don't think that's a recipe for success. Like, I don't understand how that could possibly be the answer. So I would love to see them going for a carry for Mole next time around and going for a more supportive jungler and playing it that way around instead.
Yeah, it just feels like the side of Victory 5 feel like if they leave open Azir, they have to be the ones to get Seraphine. They don't feel as confident on that Azir. That's why I even was just like, just take the Azir more as a takeaway from Angel. If you're not going to ban it, the Seraphine, as you mentioned, just doesn't seem to be how Victory 5 like to normally play, how they've been playing in the past to be able to utilize Mole, teaming up with WeiWei to get those leads for themselves on something supportive. It isn't really their strength, and honestly, I do want to kind of dive more into that, because looking at how Suning played that one, they played to their strengths. They got Angel onto that champion that normally, you know, we talk about late game, but he was able to do well in that mid game, and Suning played it really clinically to get all those objectives.
And I think that, like, the disappointing thing in this matchup was that bottom lane from ppgod and Trigger. Like, with that combination, you can make things happen, but it was a really intelligent draft from Suning with this Galio, being able to deny the all-in from Trigger. Every time ppgod and Trigger try to go in, On's able to just get a double taunt. And that's why we basically didn't see them go in. They know that they don't get to win that fight anymore. Huanfeng able to play this Kalista so that throughout the mid game, he's pretty much the strongest AD carry that you can have in the mid game as the Kalista. So able to play around these dragons, able to play around the Rift Heralds most importantly. And that was the key thing. Once V5 lost that first Rift Herald and started to fall behind, it felt like every other V5 game where they lose the first Rift Herald or fall behind. It feels like they don't really know what to do next. They just try and force some desperation fights, and then it all falls apart.
And so maybe for Victory 5, that's where we want to see them go for something a little bit more aggressive early on. Ditch the Graves, ditch the Seraphine. Try to get things that are more looking for skirmishes early into the game so you can get these early leads. Hell, we saw Hecarim succeed earlier today. Why not try something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to try and prescribe an exact draft for V5 because I don't feel like I'm the guy for that. But maybe even just something like the Syndra. I know Syndra's not that good right now. I know that her win rate isn't that much better than Graves. But when you've got Mole playing it, we have seen Mole succeed on the Syndra. He's one of the players that has been able to make Syndra work in this league. So get him something like that where he can still be this facilitator, still have utility, but he has carry potential as well. And he has the ability to bully Angel in the laning phase and find advantages for V5.
Well, V5 gonna have to go back to the drawing board, figure out what to do. For now, we're gonna toss it over to a